I told Iona who we were interviewing today and what you did.
Yeah.
And she thought I was taking the piss.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu, adieu, adieu. And you'll never forget it. And we're sat there on the bus, and all of a sudden, this Pacific Islander gets on with the, blonde top of his hair, and we're all just like, wow.
I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we are both
Fed by Farmers.
Hello and welcome to the Fed by Farmers podcast with me, Cammy Wilson.
And me, Iona Murray.
Different setting today. We're actually at the Great Yorkshire Show. We have a very exciting guest today, but before we get into it, we have to, of course, as always, thanks to our sponsors, which are
Crystalyx and Animax.
Yes, thanks to them both, the fantastic products on the go. If you're getting to that point where you're thinking maybe the lambs need a bolus, of course, check out the Animax lamb boluses. I've still got high energy out to my lambs, and I've kept a few buckets back so when I wean them, I can put the buckets out to them then too. That's a shout out. You'll hear a bit more about them later in the podcast. As always, if you want to support us, what can they do?
They can buy a piece of Fed by Farmers clothing, Cammy.
They could. What piece would you buy?
I would buy a hoodie.
Yeah, not that jacket Iona's wearing and has been wearing the whole show, and it's the only one we have of that. It's a sample, and we've had to hear, where did you get your jacket? All show. That's not available.
But see, when we do drop it, it's going to be huge.
Mental. Anyway, that's the introductions done. Here's our week's guest, Trevor Wayborn of The Sheep Show. Trev, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, proper.
Yeah, it's, well, I've known you now for about 3 years, 4 years.
How did you meet?
Good question. Is it just through...
I think it's just... Somebody said to speak to you about the merch side of it. And I think that's how it started. And then I met you at a show and you said, give us a shout. And then I messaged you on the old messenger, and then it just went on from there, I think. Yeah.
There we go. Like old true love stories.
Yeah.
Here you are.
But so that's how we met. But like, you're doing this sheep show thing now. I told Iona who we were interviewing today and what you did.
Yeah.
And she thought I was taking the piss until we came to this.
Literally until we were walking up
Until we
here.
came here and she saw the stage and she's like, "Oh, he actually does a sheep show."
Yeah.
Like she thought it was joke. So tell us, what is the sheep show first? Let's start with that.
Well, the sheep show is it's an educational show with a huge lump of comedy and fun chucked in. So we bring up 9 breeds of sheep, tell you a little bit of story how they've developed, so how the Norfolk Horn and the South Down have been chucked together to give you the Suffolk, how you get the Scotch Blackface with the Blueface Leicester to give you the mule, and it just tells a story, bit of rare breed in there as well. And then I do the live striptease on the stage. Oh yeah, not me personally, Iona.
Okay.
Just giving you the show part.
Yeah. No, we shear a sheep on stage, trying to educate people why we shear. It's not a big thing of, this is how we shear, it's why we shear really. But the people love it. And then we finish off with the dancing sheep.
Okay. How do they dance?
Oh, we've got the ballerina who sticks her leg up. We've got the status quo head bobber.
Have you actually?
Yeah, 100%.
They're all trained.
Oh,
That's
yeah. The nobby at the moment does absolutely nothing. And then you got the Texel on the end who he sits there. He just has a little party all of his own. He just goes crazy. And
So.
One of the main ones before we move off from that, we should probably talk about is Lenny the Lincoln Longhorn.
Long wool.
Yeah. Sorry, the Lincoln Long Wool. Yeah. Because he's got like the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Type things.
Yeah.
And you bring him out to Bob Marley, is that right?
Yeah. We. I've actually changed the Bob Marley tune recently, because we try and change the music up a bit, because each sheep comes out to their own theme tune and all the rest of it, and we try to change it because we can't change the sheep. Yeah. I tried changing the sheep once and people went crazy because they sort of really associate themselves with the sheep. And I tried changing the Herdwick to Dave the Dartmoor, and people went crazy. Where's the Herdwick? Where's the Herdwick? So I just try and change the music up. So at the moment, I bring out Lenny to a bit of the old house music, and he comes out.
Oh, he does the headbanging to
Yeah,
that.
and so when we shear him off, we leave the head dreads on, and he sits there and brings them out, and yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that was always a favourite for me.
So how did it all start?
Wow. Well, it started over 30 years ago now.
No way.
Yeah. With a guy called Richard Savory. He's a Kiwi, and I think he saw it over in the Agrodome and thought, actually, this would really work in this country, but in a mobile setting. So he brought it over. When he moved over, he set it up, started educational, and then a guy called Stuart Barnes, who's another Kiwi, he brought a little bit more into it. And then 10 years ago, roughly, 10 years ago, I joined, and we've sort of developed it even more and brought out, the merch line, and we've brought out this, and so that's how it all started. But it was about 30 years ago.
And is it mainly agricultural shows?
No. So we're doing vintage rallies, we're doing food festivals, we're doing schools events, and then the agricultural shows as well. So yeah, it's huge. We're doing.
How many units are out in the go?
So we got 4 units out. 4 units out on the go. Doing about 120 shows a season.
Wow.
Yeah.
And some of them are like multiple day shows.
Well, like this, 4 days, 2, 3, 4, and then, we're actually at one place for the whole of October. We do a pumpkin festival, up here in Pontefract, Farmer Copley's, and we're there for the whole month. I think we do 22 days performing, so it's brilliant. It's great. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Reduce the risk of fly strike and livestock irritation at grass with Crystalyx garlics. Flies and midges are a constant pest to livestock throughout the summer and are responsible for diseases such as summer mastitis, pink eye, blue tongue and Schmallenberg. No repellent is 100% effective in the fight against airborne biting insects. However, Crystalyx garlics can play an important part in reducing the number of flies that land on livestock. Containing concentrated garlic extract, 5 times more potent than pure dried garlic, Crystalyx garlics offers a natural defense to biting insects, with the high sulfur compounds in garlic acting as a natural insect repellent. With a full complement of vitamins, minerals and trace elements, Crystalyx garlics balances the known deficiencies in forage while stimulating the rumen for enhanced animal performance. Make the switch this summer to research-proven Crystalyx garlics.
How do you get sheep? Do you shear lambs in October, or do you keep a few sheep back?
No, we shear lambs. So any minute now we'll switch over from hogs and go on to lambs, and then shear the lambs through.
I definitely want to come back to more about the sheep school, but it would be cool to hear a bit more about you and your background.
Ooh.
Where did you grow up?
Yeah.
This is a good one. Yeah, this is actually interesting. Like, the sheep show's great to hear about, but actually hearing a bit about you, because you're quite a man.
Yeah, well, a bit like yourself, really. I was a specialist paramedic for 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah, which was crazy. I joined the ambulance service at 16, but my grandparents and all that, they were farmers.
So
council tenant farmers. My granddad was dairyman, milking. Well, in the sort of late 60s, 70s, was milking 65 cows, which in those days was huge.
Yeah.
In 81 he left the farm down in Oakhampton, and he had to leave and due to farmer's lung. So horrible. But so I've always been in farming, but my dad was a fireman, and that's how my mum and my dad met, because they had a fire on the farm, and my dad went, there was this buxom woman chucking hay bales out the shed.
So it does happen?
I was going to say,
Oh yeah.
there's going to be a fire at Chris Flat, I can tell.
So so that's how my mum and dad met. And my dad looked up and thought, cool, I like a bit of that. A woman who can chuck bales around, and
I can chuck bales around.
and that was that. So that's how my mum and dad met. So and then I joined the ambulance service in '89. 1989.
Before I was born, before you were born, a long time before you were born. There you go.
At the age of 16. And I stayed in done 27 years.
What was that like?
Tough.
This is in Devon.
Yeah. I moved all around Devon actually, but it was tough, and eventually that's why I left.
Okay.
I got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress.
Right.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, I left, and that was tough. I got attacked, and I had my face broke by a patient, and I sat there and I just thought, do you know, why am I doing this? I was still farming. During that time I was shearing, and I'd got sheep of my own, I'd got cows of my own.
So you started that up?
Yeah. So we started that up on our own. Joe, the wife, and me, we kept sheep and all the rest of it. And I was still in touch with the guy who used to farm next door to Gran and Grandad. And he was there, and he was a shearer. And actually, Liz, knows Lizzie, because Lizzie used to shear, sheared down there and all the rest of it. So I knew him, and in 2013 I was attacked, and I just thought, why am I doing this? And
This is also why you're responding to a call.
Yeah. So we went to a guy over in a town in North Devon, and called, drunk, unconscious. And when we got there, he wasn't unconscious, he was there. And we sort of had to walk him down, and he went for my colleague, and I wasn't going to let him hit her. And I just pulled him towards me, and he turned around and double punched me in the head. And broke my eye socket, broke my jaw. And
You must have been quite a hefty fella, because you're not a wee slim thing yourself.
what are you trying to say, Cammy?
I know you played rugby, so he must have.
I think it was a surprise.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when you're in that green uniform, normally you'd end up swinging back, wouldn't you? But you got that green uniform on, and you can't do that. And I just thought, do you know what? Why am I doing this? And it really affected me, and as you can see, but the only way it wasn't the attack that caused the post-traumatic stress. It was an accumulation of stuff that I'd seen over the years, and as a male in the ambulance service, in those days, you did not talk about your feelings. My dad, I never saw my dad cry, never. Still to this day, I've never ever seen him cry, and that's what you did.
Funny you say that. It's like I think the only time I see my dad cry was when his mum died, when my gran died.
Yeah.
In all my life.
And I've lost all my grandparents, and not one of them. I've never seen my dad cry at all with that. And you just don't do it. I just held everything in for years and years and years, and the only way I can explain it is I'd seen all these things, and you see some horrendous things, you know yourself, and I just kept putting them in the wardrobe. Putting them in the wardrobe, putting them in the wardrobe, shoving them in the door, putting your boot to the door, keeping the door shut, tying them up, keeping them in there, and every now and again you'd open the door and just shove something else in.
That's a good way to describe it.
And then all of a sudden, matey boy hitting me, just opened the doors of that wardrobe, and everything came spilling out. And I just sat there and thought, do you know what? I've got to rearrange all this, and it's going to take time. And I didn't want to go back to the ambulance service after that. And, now I'm actually very comfortable. I get very emotional still now to this day at times, but I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's healthy.
because you can talk about it like you are here.
100%. And I'm quite happy to talk to anybody about those sorts of things. And I've managed to rearrange that wardrobe in itself, and now I'm in a position where, you know, I'm doing something I absolutely love. And
So what a change.
sorry.
And then, like, how? So did you take some time off work completely?
I was off work for nearly 12 months.
Right. Okay.
I take it you're pensioned off. Like
no,
they wouldn't just.
no,
you'd
no.
just have to resign with a pension. Like if that was the Polish, you'd probably get pensioned off.
Yeah, unfortunately, in those days, you know, back in 13, 14, mental health was not recognised
Right. Okay.
as a pensionable.
It's crazy to think that's only 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still, you know, people say, you know, I've got post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't say that. I've got post-traumatic stress injury, because an injury you can recover from.
Yeah.
A disorder is always there. I don't feel I've got post-traumatic stress anymore, because actually I've learned to cope with it, and I've dealt with it the same way as you would with a broken ankle. I've dealt with the injury and now I've moved on. But yeah, it wasn't recognised. So
It still obviously affects you.
yeah,
Big time just thinking about it.
no, it does. Because it was something I loved doing. I loved working in the ambulance service. I loved working and helping people. And
See, even just talking to you, I can imagine you've been great.
He'd be class
It
at
would
it.
be so, like, you know, I can imagine in that situation,
He's
you've
an
been the
absolute-
kind of person you
He's
would
an
want to
absolute
turn up.
gentleman, absolutely. And it's funny you say just something you touched on there, and it relates back to a video we watched in police college. And it's you say when you've got the uniform on, you have to behave differently.
yeah,
Because, like, you know, there's almost like we have rules, and we get shown a video. It was actually talking about the value of police dogs.
oh yeah,
And they showed us a video of this group of guys, say there's 10 guys and there's like 5 or 6 cops, and they're all squaring up ready to fight, and they'll go to, the cops have got their batons out, and these guys are all the big men, they're ready to fight with the cops, because people will fight with police because they know the police have rules.
yeah.
They know it's pretty
Yeah,
safe, especially
yeah.
in the UK, maybe not so much the States, but in the UK it's really safe to fight with the police.
Yeah, no,
'Cause
it
we
is.
have all these rules we have to
Yeah,
follow.
100%.
Whereas see when the guy comes out with the dog, they themselves because there's
Yeah.
no rules with a dog.
Yeah, no.
The dog
no,
just rips your
definitely.
throat out.
Yeah,
And they just they lose the
Okay.
hard man thing.
Yeah.
Because they're no longer
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not up against a fair fight anymore.
yeah,
Like this thing will kill you.
yeah,
And it talks about that one dog is worth 20. The point of it was one dog is worth 20
yeah,
cops.
yeah. And
Um,
it's
and it's
true.
the same thing,
You
you've
know,
rules.
you know, I think unfortunately as a society we've lost respect for, you know, the services.
We don't kick the out enough people anymore.
No,
That's the
no.
reality.
You know,
I made a joke someday. The police have never been less corrupt, but less respected.
no.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See when the bag to you, like they take somebody in the back and kick
Yeah.
the life out of them. Like you didn't talk back to them. They had a bit of respect, you know. Whereas now
Yeah.
it's like, not that I'm
Yeah.
saying that's correct, but
No,
you know,
no.
there was ways, especially like domestic abuse cases. There was
Oh,
ways
yeah.
those things were
Dealt with.
dealt with a certain
Yeah,
way, you know,
yeah.
and folk were made to pay for it. Like,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
doesn't
no,
happen anymore.
definitely. So yeah.
So you took your 12 months off.
So I took 12 months off, and I then thought, well, what am I going to do? You
Yeah.
know, I've actually got to, you know, I've got to make a living now. I've got family. You know, at that point, I'd got 2 kids living at home. I'd got a wife. I've got a house. How are we going to exist? You know, so I just thought, actually, I'll go back to what I love, and that's farming. And you know, I was shearing, and I went and spoke to a very dear friend, Steve Alford, and I said, look, is there any chance of a place on your shearing gang? And so I went shearing with him, and then I also
What age were you at this point? Sorry,
35.
35.
No,
Okay.
no, but older than that.
40,
Actually, 40. Yeah. and-
43, were you?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you
So I went back commercially
Wow.
shearing at 40, 43. And that was hard work. All of a sudden, my body was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, because before that, I'd made a great shearing round shearing smallholder sheep. You know, there was a great demand down around our way. You know, we've got a lot of smallholders.
Yeah.
A lot of people have moved down and think that keeping 5, 6, 7, 8 sheep is absolutely wonderful. But the commercial shearers down our way don't want to shear the small lots because they're a pain.
Yeah.
They've got no handling facilities, they've got nothing there, and they're in a 20-acre field.
Usually the breeds as well.
Yeah, and and we've got a lot of long walls down our way, and so I'd made a great round, doing that and shearing sheep like that, and then to suddenly go out and think I've actually got to
do 200 a day.
Yeah. And for that, I remember that first 10 days I went back and I thought, what have I done? I hurt, and but it was great, and Steve Alford and Alan Marshall were absolutely brilliant, and I went back, I got a whole load of lambing customers in, and I used to start lambing then sort of middle of February, and go right through till middle of May lambing. And
Did you do some up in Scotland?
No.
Right, okay.
No, all down our way, all local as well.
In Devon?
Yeah.
In May?
Yeah. Well, you got to remember.
Is this back to Dossets or something?
No. Some of the older farmers, and there was one guy in particular. He always used to lamb outdoors in end of April, beginning of May, and that was the way he'd done it. He'd done it that way all his life, and he was 72 and still doing it that way. Bring them in by night, out by day, and all the rest of it. And I used to go and do the nights in the shed for him, and then went shearing, and then went on and just contract shepherded. Any jobs that people wanted, I went off and done. And then I went to Devon County Show, and I saw this big blue lorry, and I thought, there's a load of sheep up there, and let's have a look at that, and I saw this Kiwi up there giving it big ones, going, here we go, we've got the dancing sheep, and I'm like, are you taking a mick?
Like you, Ella.
Yeah, exactly. And I sat there and I watched it, and I thought, do you know what? I could do that, because there is one thing I haven't told you, is that I've also got a background in the theatre.
There we go. I could believe it.
Yeah.
When I see you on the stage, I could believe it.
Yeah. So
when did that happen?
When I was 15, I played Friedrich, the eldest Von Trapp boy on the stage
Sound of Music.
That
was a pub quiz question for you. I should ask you what plays that before you get into it.
Where was that?
Down in Oakhampton. At a,
so you're like marching around after.
With the Lederhosens.
Who's the main Maria? Who was the main actress in that again? The original. She's dead now, but God, died not that long ago. Oh my God, that's shocking. There'll be folks screaming. There'll be folks screaming at the podcast that we forgot her name. Man, she's in that. Jane? No, Jane.
No, is it Jai? June?
No.
Julia.
Not
Waters.
Not Julie Andrews. Julie
Andrews.
Yeah, there we go. See, we got there in the end.
I thought they'd be screaming at the podcast. Yeah. So you were one of the kids marching
around? Yeah.
So long, farewell,
auf Wiedersehen, adieu. Anyway,
never forget it. Never forget it.
To you and you. And actually Shannon, my daughter, she came to us when she was about 11, and she said, I really want to go on the stage. I want to go to stage school.
Yeah.
And at that point, down our way, stage schools were like £350 a term and all this. And I went, we just can't afford it, So I thought, blow that, start up our own. And so that's what we did.
No way!
Yeah. So we started up our own. We got a load of local people.
That's why you're still a paramedic.
Yeah. And we started it up and got it together. We started off with 13 kids for a 6-week trial. And our stage school now has got 160, 180 kids that come every week to us, and it's just gone crazy.
Oh, it's still all rocking.
Oh yeah. We got huge. yeah. Shannon's is now the singing or the dancing teacher, and
That is
teaches them. And
Is your wife involved with that?
No, you would never see Joe on the stage.
Okay, so you just have a team now running it?
I've just
Shannon?
got a team, Helen, Cole and myself, we run it, and with Shannon, and we got a great team, and
That's a life lived. I tell you, we haven't even got into the Jerry Collins rugby story yet. That's coming.
But is that not what an attitude to have to life?
Yeah, just do it
you know
ourselves.
what I mean? Like, not even that. Just like that's not the barrier. You know, like let's overcome that. Like,
money's not a barrier, is it?
Yeah. Let's just
well, let's look around. Let's look outside the box. What are we going to do? Well, there's people here that can teach it. So let's get it together and actually put it together.
That must be a huge income, is it not? Huge expense probably with staff, but it's not a huge income.
Yeah, it's the biggest expense is staffing and the building.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So we don't do anything. It's not there to make money.
Okay.
It is there just to give the kids the experience of the stage and to, especially when I was in the ambulance service, I saw kids that couldn't have this conversation. Mm-hmm. Kids these days, unfortunately, they communicate like that. And I sat there and I thought, do you know what? This is actually becoming a real issue with our kids. Mm-hmm. We sort of developed it. So it's there it's not a not-for-profit, it is a business, but we don't make money out of it. We're there to give the kids the ability to stand up and actually say, here I am. Mm-hmm. And if they can get on the stage in the Queen's Theatre in Barnstable in front of 650 people and sing, act, dance, they can do anything in life.
Yeah. There's a big thing about that, like confidence. Confidence is actually the key to everything.
It is 100%.
And I've told a story. I don't know if I've told this story actually. And I keep joking I'm going to get him in for a podcast, but I'm going to name drop him because anyone from the Falkland Islands that listens will know this boy because he's over there just now. He does a lot of work for the government, or putting like radars in for the RAF. But he's just a mad guy I went to school with, man. He was one of my best mates at school from his primary school. Mm-hmm. He was an apprentice joiner. The company went bust. He applied for this job as a joiner with the government, and he's worked his way up to he spent 5 years living in Abu Dhabi as head of the Asia region of mental things he's done, all through a good patter.
Yeah.
His thing.
Yeah.
It's good patter. It's Lewis, MD in the Falklands that's listening. Will know Lewis.
Explain what good patter is.
Good patter is just it can just talk. He can sit in any room. It doesn't matter if you're on 100 grand a year or 10 grand a year.
Yeah.
He can talk to you.
Yeah.
And he has no fear of being the main man, but being nice about it.
Yeah.
He's not arrogant.
Right. Okay.
He'll be over talking to folk, sitting himself with a pint. He'll just go to the pub himself, and be there all night
and just have a conversation with people
and make 20 pals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He upsets some people too because he's quite a good-looking boy and the lassies like him. But he's
I got the same issues.
I should say he's happily almost married. But he has that.
In the past.
You know how some people just don't like a handsome chap.
Yeah.
If he's got a bit of swagger about him.
Yeah.
But like you say a bit of that confidence, like you're saying with the stage stuff.
Yeah.
My thing at school was I just talked too much, and the teacher used to make me read the textbooks out at the front of the class. But I loved it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't concentrate otherwise.
I bet you would have loved to go to something like that when you were young.
A true story. That's a true story. Never we're talking about me. But my drama teacher, I told my drama teacher I wasn't doing drama as a higher as a standard grade.
Yeah.
As we have in Scotland. So that's you select what you're going to do.
Right.
And I wasn't choosing drama. Just because I didn't think it was cool at the time. I was in that kind of rugby group and I thought, that's not cool, So I wasn't choosing drama. She came, we had a parents' night and she came and waited at my maths slot to speak to my parents.
Did she?
To try and convince me to do drama.
Really?
Yeah. But
I can imagine that.
You're made for it.
I thought it was too cool. Rugby thing and all that.
Yeah. But then that was,
Hopefully that's changing a wee bit.
I don't know if it does with teenage boys, does it?
No. One of the biggest
probably
issues,
getting worse.
I would say, we have got more boys coming in now, but we are, it is predominantly a female orientated thing. But I love that. As a young lad growing up, how great was that?
Good
Here I was,
Yeah.
Going to rugby, it's a bunch of guys.
I was the
Bit of
only
drama.
boy
Yeah.
in amongst all these young ladies, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I did often think there was a couple of guys particularly that were very, very good at our school and would sing and I just used to see like him and then the whole rest of the show with all these girls and I think, imagine you could sing like that and you spent all your time around all those lasses.
The real winners.
Who's the real? I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Aye, us 15 guys in a shower together.
Yeah.
Pure macho. Aye, absolutely class.
Should we pause there to have a wee word from our sponsors?
Yeah, let's get a wee intro in here.
Most foragers don't supply sheep and cattle with enough cobalt, copper, iodine and selenium, critical to digestion, immunity, reproduction and growth. When it comes to supplementation, there's a danger of under or oversupply. But when bolusing with Animax Tracesure, you can be sure every animal has enough for up to 6 months in one single application. Animax, giving what it takes.
So I suppose we've mentioned a little bit about rugby there. We should get into the fact that, I mean, you look like a winger. I'm guessing you played a bit of rugby. I'm not saying guessing. I know you played a bit of rugby in your time. Is that right? Played for down in Devon?
Yes, played for Barnstable.
Barnstable.
I
don't know Devon at all. Where is Lizzie's from Dawlish? Where's that?
Yeah,
I know Devon's huge.
Completely the other end of.
So how many hours is that? Like?
Oh, it'd be probably good 60, 70 miles away. Yeah, okay. So Barnstable is up on the north coast. And Dawlish is down on the south coast.
Yeah.
I played for Barnstable. I had a great time.
Is this through as a kid, right up?
No. I played as a kid in school. Oakhampton College was a real rugby orientated school.
But wasn't that a private school?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I know rugby's big with the private schools.
Yeah, it is. But we had a fantastic teacher, and you always remember those teachers from school, don't you? And when I see him now, I still call him Mr. Radner. I would never dream of calling him Ian. It's still Mr. Radner, And he really got hold of me, and as a kid, up until when I was 13, I was tiny. You could count my ribs, and then at the age of 13, I sort of spread out in all ways. And he grabbed hold of me and said, "Come on, you got to play rugby," and that's what I did. And I played rugby, and then I went into the ambulance service. I played for the ambulance service, and I remember our first game of rugby was my adult game of rugby was against Channings Wood prisoners at the Channings Wood prison. Wow. And I just remember the ball coming up in the air, me going, yes, and I caught it, and the next thing I know is I wake up because they just hit me, and that was it, at the age of 16, and I was like, what has just happened,
And did they actually know how to play rugby, like, with a few good boys in them, like?
Yeah.
This is the prisoners?
We played the prisoners, yeah.
This is was it the longest yard?
Exactly. But Channings was quite an open prison, and so we went down there, and I played rugby through the ambulance service. I moved to Barnstable, and a dear friend of mine, Paul Shattuck, he said, come down and play rugby at Barnstable. And I went down there and played rugby, and I was mainly the second team player, but I did break into...
What was your position?
I was a tight head prop.
Can't believe it. Yeah. I can't believe it. I'm shocked and stunned.
You're shocked now, aren't you?
It's a bloody horrible position.
No, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Why?
You don't know enough about rugby,
okay.
The props are like the most abused player in the park.
Really?
They're the front of the scrum.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like,
wouldn't like
the
that.
two props and the hooker.
But the
hooker's
tight
not
head
as
is
bad.
locked
It's
in.
like, so you're like on the inside.
Oh no, I wouldn't like that.
Like both your ears getting mashed.
That was you?
That was me. Yeah, but I loved it. And I made such good friends as well, who are now, some of my best friends. And so I played down there. I played National 3 rugby at one point. And so it was good.
And you played with a New Zealand international at one time?
Yeah.
Tell us that story.
Yeah, well...
an All Black, I should say. That's the correct
Jerry
term.
Collins.
Yeah. A very good All Black.
Yeah, very good. So it was off the back of the World Cup when they lost. And
so what year would this be? Like
right,
2011?
2011, was.
I'm trying to think. 2000.
That's when we won it, and then it was the year after that. Anyway, when New Zealand got.
I feel like
they
I know the World Cups, but I can't
got
remember.
out very early, and Jerry was down in Barnstable because he had a girlfriend there at the time, and our coach saw him in a cafe in town and went, "Are you Jerry Collins?" And he went, "Yeah, mate," you know.
Yeah.
And they got chatting, and he said, "Oh, I'd like to come down to the club and have a look and see what you got." He said, "Is there any chance of a game?" Jerry said, and he went, "Well, yeah, but you can't play for our first team because you've got to be registered."
Oh, yeah.
And you've got to be registered with the club and all the rest of it. And so he ended up playing for the second team, and he had to go and buy a pair of boots that morning, and he said it was the first pair of boots he'd ever bought because it was everything was sponsored,
of course.
all the rest of it.
Adidas, yeah.
And he went and bought a pair of boots that morning, and we were all told that Jerry Collins was going to come down and play for Barnstable second team, and we were like, "You are taking a mick, you know,
no
that
chance.
ain't going to happen." And we're sat there on the bus, and all of a sudden this Pacific Islander gets on with the, you know, blonde top of his hair, and we're all just like, wow. And he was one of the nicest blokes you'd ever want to meet.
Was he?
And he played that day, and you know, the raw power in the guy was just incredible, but he never unleashed it.
No, Kenny knows, yeah.
You know,
That'd
and
be
he
unfair.
just...
Could you imagine being the other team?
Oh,
Imagine being the other team.
but it was, yeah. But the funny bit
Is that
was...
Jerry Collins?
Yeah.
Nah,
Just if it looks like him though.
Yeah,
it looks like
yeah.
him. Don't
Uncanny.
ship it.
And the funny bit was that their first Newton Abbot first team were playing, and there was more people watching our second team game than there was the first
Of
team.
course, man.
And but I got injured, and I had something called spinal cord concussion. So my spinal cord got smacked, and I'm lying.
Props.
Yeah,
Loved it. You loved it.
and I was lying on the floor and couldn't feel my legs and all the rest of it, and I'm like, "Oh, what's going on here?" But I was more worried. I got Jerry Collins to come down and lie on the floor because I thought, I'm not going to be in the team photo, and
You are.
and I was gutted that I wasn't going to be in the team photo. So I said, "Look, you're going to have to get down here and lie down next to me." And the photo that went in the paper was me lied on the floor with my head being held, with Jerry Collins beside me going like that.
Is this not a life lived?
We need that photo.
Yeah.
We need that photo.
Anyone watching the YouTube will have that photo
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'll stick it on the Facebook as well. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I take it we'll be able to find it somewhere.
Yeah. I think I've actually got a picture of it.
Brilliant.
And yeah, so, and that's what happens. And yeah, and it just went viral then, because Jerry Collins then went and played for the Barbarians.
Yep.
And he wore Barnstable socks
Brilliant.
when he played for the Barbarians, which, you know, New Zealand rugby went absolutely crazy that he was playing over here.
Oh, I couldn't believe that. Playing for a second team in
Yeah,
Devon, man.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Your
amazing.
coaches would go off their head.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Especially when there's like a guy lying, like that could have been you.
Yeah, and yeah, there we were. And so yeah, that's the claim to fame, is I played rugby with Jerry Collins.
So was he just over on holiday? Like, was he?
Yeah, he'd come over to see his
Play
girlfriend.
for the Barbarians.
Yeah, no, he'd come over just to see his girlfriend.
Right, okay.
And then, because she lived in Braunton, and then, because I think he'd got a child with her and all that sort of thing,
Okay.
and then he went back, and then he got asked to play for the Barbars, and that's when he wore the socks.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
What a story.
I just want to know, so because you got to Devon Show and you saw it and thought, I could
yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
Oh, did we take a pure tangent for that? We did.
Yeah, we did. We went off on a complete...
Because I was about to say, I was
Yeah.
coming back to how do you, are you now the main man? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you thought
So
I
we
could
did.
do
God,
this.
that was a belter
Yeah.
of a tangent.
That was a
wasn't it?
while ago.
yeah,
That was
where
about
have we
30
gone?
minutes.
That was a while ago.
So yes, you saw this guy at Devon
Yeah,
Show.
so I saw this guy at Devon County Show, and I thought, do you know what, I could have a go at that. And I went up and started chatting to him, and said, you know, look, and he said, well, yeah, but you've got to be able to shear sheep. And I went, yeah, well, I can shear a sheep. And he went, but you've got to be able to get up on a stage. I said, well, I've done a bit of stage work. And Richard said, look, send me an email. So I got home and I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it. You know, and it was off the back of all the ambulance service stuff. And I thought, I'm just going to have a go at stuff. And so I sent the email, and then I went and met Stuart at a show. And then I went up to Norfolk and met Richard, and we sort of started working on my show and getting it all together. And then all of a sudden, bang, what I know is the next thing is I'm at what was then Dorset Steam Fair, doing the show in front of, you know, all these people, and yeah, I haven't looked back since. So that's how it's all gone through, and now we've got to where we've got to.
Was that, although you had done a bit of stage, so it must have been pretty terrifying, the first one?
Yeah, absolutely petrifying, you know. And I was always a shed shearer, and I was never a competition shearer. I hated it. I'd done one competition and the sheep looked like I dragged it through a hedge backwards. And I've got the utmost respect for anybody that will get up on the stage there and shear a sheep. And now all of a sudden I was standing up on that stage, and it's a very narrow stage, as you found out last year. It's very narrow, and you've got a drop of, you know, 4 or 5 feet off the side of the lorry. And I was like, I've got to shear this sheep now. And so, yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. But it was great. I loved it. And I loved the buzz you got off of it. There is no buzz like it.
That's what I love about the competitions. Just
yeah.
That, like, I know it's not so much talking to the crowd, but just getting up on that big stage, man, and anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's obviously it's a competition, it's the sportsman side of it a bit
is.
as well. But yeah, just this. But it's the way you get, like, you've got it, man. Like, you've got it for getting the crowd going.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was. Like, you have to have it.
Yeah.
Like you. Not that I've actually ever seen you with a bad crowd, but like I can imagine even if the crowd was terrible, you'd still be like hyper and happy and
bring the energy.
Bring the energy.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. You bring the energy.
Yeah, and one of the things, you know, we do a whole run up in Scotland, and I got to say, you Scottish people are some of the hardest people to do the show in front of.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, because
English accent too.
English accent. We have to change because we have Red Tractor, you have your Scottish standards and that, which is slightly different. And the first time I went up there, I started talking about Red Tractor, and you could see the crowd. Yeah, you could see the crowd turning off. But actually, everybody came up afterwards going, great show, great, love what you're doing.
Not one laugh.
But not one laugh. No.
Brilliant, mate, that was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
You know, mate, lovely. But can you tell your face that you're enjoying it?
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That is it.
Good one.
That is it.
I know a few folk with that.
Oh, man.
Going to Scottish.
Yeah. But it can be hard, you know, and I've had the people who are very anti-shearing, anti-performing animals, all the rest of it, chanting on the side of the stage and all the rest of it. And you've got to be able to turn it, you know, around, and you know, you can't just tell them to go and disappear and in a very polite way. You know, you've actually got to turn it around, and you've got to work with these people, and you've got to, you can come off the hardest night on the beer, but you've still got to be able to get up there and actually have the same enthusiasm for the crowd at the beginning of the day and the end of the day and the middle of the day. So
and 4 days on.
Yeah.
And how long is a show?
So 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
And how many are you doing
So we
a
do
day?
3 shows a day, 30 minutes long. But it is tiring. Really tiring.
It's an intense thing.
Yeah.
Even just the fact you're hoping the animals all play ball, and because obviously they have to come out on the stage and run up to their podiums. And see the training part of it now, a lot of people wouldn't believe you could train a sheep to do the things the way you guys have it doing.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, obviously
Top secret.
I can't let all the secrets out, but it's surprising what a bit of Harper's food will do.
Shout out to Harper's as well, one of our sponsors.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Absolutely, we'll give. In fact, we should George Mudge as well. I'm reading them up behind me here. George Mudge, Harper's Feeds. It's Harper's Feeds and Massey Feeds the same thing.
Harper Massey. So Massey Harper's is the same people. Massey are up in Cheshire. Harper's was actually started down in Hollesley, just outside of Barnstable, and they've been brilliant. Lister as well have come on board, and
British Wool as well, fantastic. Of course.
British Wool, and that was sort of what I brought to the sheep show. Was that I actually thought, do you know what, we need to bring in more people that will give this show the kudos that it requires. That actually, like British Wool, love them or hate them, they are the people that are putting our wool forward, and and I wanted to work with them to actually develop what we were doing. I saw that we needed a really good top quality food to feed the sheep, because these sheep are right there in front of all the public. They needed that feed to make them shine, and so I worked with Glenn down at Harper's, and we developed our own feed specifically for this, to something called, I'm not trying to pump them up, but their Planet range.
Give them a shout out. This is your chance.
They were brilliant, because I was very much, I'm not into all the, palm oils and all that sort of thing, and I just thought, actually we need to do something with this, and so we went down their Planet range, and so there's no palm oil, no soya.
So this is like a greener range type thing.
Yeah, and everything's sourced within 20 miles of Hollesley branch. So everything's local, and
that's a unique feed for sure.
Yeah. So it was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic that we could actually do that with them. And then we, Lister came on board, and they were fantastic. Supplied us with brand new machines last season. So that
they supply you with combs and cutters as well, or
no? George Mudge supplies all our combs and cutters. So we had machines, droppers, and hand pieces off of Lister, and then George Mudge supplied all their new mocks and the combs and cutters. So that was fantastic as well. And and then this year we've gone out with British Wool and Woolly Knit to actually produce our own woolen sock. We went up to British Wool, and they came out with this. We were working with a girl called Haldy, and she suddenly came out with this piece of information that if every person in this country buys one pair of woolen socks each year, it would completely use up the wool supply in the country. And I said, whoa, you cannot give me that piece of information and not allow me to run with it. So they gave us our own British Wool crook mark, and now we're working and we're producing the socks to sell on the show. So so there's things like that.
And you sold out today.
And we completely sold out.
So nothing
2
for
days.
Tomorrow.
No, that's it. 2 days we've sold the lot. Well, there's obviously something. You can buy a t-shirt, hoodie,
yes.
that's supplied by a very nice place, Logo Farm, which is fantastic. That people are actually embracing what we're doing, and they're taking on board what we're trying to do with the sheep show.
And I mean, it's a fantastic thing, but I mean, I think you're massive. We've spoken about this before, though, and hopefully this gives you a little boost as well, because I do urge anyone that's listening to this to check out the sheep show, especially the Facebook, which has a big following, but you don't utilise it.
No, I know.
Like, see with your personality and what you're doing, you could be one of the biggest social media things for farming. Like, you could, Trevor, you could absolutely smash it. But I know it's difficult. It's a bloody difficult thing. I think, see when people see this and see a bit about you, because they don't really see you up there.
No.
You do a performance.
Yeah.
It is you. It's very much you.
Yeah.
But it's still like, oh, he's put that performance on, he's just the guy that does that. They don't actually know Trevor.
No.
So I think if you just shared a bit more about your life, travelling about, setting up.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Just the personality you have, it would be big.
Yeah. And And you're right, and I know you're right, but what we've had to concentrate on for the first, 12, 18 months is actually we've taken a business on. We've had the usual sort of getting everything together. We put 2 new lorries on, or trailers on, and that whole upheaval of actually learning the business side of it, and putting that out there. But also I'm a 51-year-old bloke who struggles with social media.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And it's as simple as that. I can sit here with you guys and I can chat away and I can have the time of my life, and which I am doing. I'm hoping, I've got a 23-year-old daughter who we're hoping that she will take on the social media side of it and start to develop that. That is our next place to go and actually develop that side.
And what sort of investment is in one of these lorries?
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at nearly 50,000 just in one lorry.
Is that including the?
No.
No, that's just this.
No, that's just the trailer.
The trailer, sorry.
Yeah.
That out. To be honest, I would have thought it would have been more than that.
But the lorry will be like 80 grand, does it?
No, because we don't run anything brand new. Because
what's a lorry unit? Do you call that a lorry? I don't know. Do you call that
a tractor
lorry?
unit.
Tractor unit.
Yeah, tractor unit.
What do you call that? What's a lorry? The whole thing?
The lorry's the whole thing.
Right, okay.
So you got the trailer, you got the tractor unit, and then that makes a lorry.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's then you've got to be running things like O licenses, operator's license, to run it. So you can't just buy a lorry.
Okay.
So you've got to be able to run an operator's license. So we've got to apply to DVSA to get all that, and then you've got to do all that. The insurances are just astronomical. Public liability, holy. And then fuel. Fuel is huge. We're going next month. We're in Black Isle from Devon.
What is that? For 15 hours? 15 hours?
15 hours. Yeah. So we're really fortunate because actually we're going to Cookery. And then over that one, was it?
That's Kirkcudbright for it.
Sorry.
It was close. That was good.
It was close, wasn't it?
Aye.
Maybe you should say what ones are upcoming because this is going to be out on Tuesday. So
definitely.
Yeah. So we've got a huge run up into Scotland actually. So Stuart's going up there with Jenny, and
so you won't be in any Scotland shows.
Sorry?
You won't be at any.
I won't be at any because I'm actually down in Devon doing all the Devon ones because we've got all the local ones down there as well. But Stuart's a great presenter.
Oh, he's good. He's very good.
He's very good.
Every bit is good. Absolutely.
So, we're going to Kirkcudbright. Yeah. And then we're going over to Border Union.
Yep.
Border Union, we're going up to,
Are we going to that?
Black Isle. Black Isle, we're going to Dumfries.
Big show as well.
Dumfries, we're going to Turriff.
Big show.
Turriff, we're going to, now I'd call it Grantown, but you wouldn't call it that, would you?
Granton.
I
think so.
Up,
north
up near Inverness.
Yeah, that way,
and then we're coming down, and then Stuart actually then goes back to New Zealand. Okay. He's got one more show after that, and then he's off. But I'm doing a whole run in Devon, so we've got Yelpton show, we've got North Devon show, which actually we've gone in as a sponsor for this year, so which is nice. It's our local show. Honiton show, and things like that. So
she's really trying. Maybe a bad time in the season, but it's like we've got like Air Show, which is a big show. Like. But maybe, like second week in May, you'll probably be booked then, are you, down south?
No, hey, I'd always have time for you, Cammy. And
we should, anyone from your show that beats you if you're listening, give Trevor a shout.
Come and give us a shout.
Yeah, because it's a big hit, like I've seen the big crowds it draws, and it would be big here.
Well, just Lambeth, we were there last month, Lambeth show, right on the edge of Brixton, London, and we're doing the show to about 5,000 people every single show. It's the only time I've ever felt like a rock star. You know, you walk out on a stage and they're starting a Mexican wave around, they're cheering, you're doing the show. And this is to people who actually have never seen a sheep up close. Some of these people have not got a clue about sheep. You know, you guys would talk about tups, we would talk about rams, ewes, yours, all those sorts of things. They haven't got a clue. And actually, it's really nice to be able to go in and talk to those people, and have a really decent conversation. And actually, you know, I've got no views on people's, diets, but actually to speak to people who are openly vegan, come up to us and go, do you know what? I don't want to eat meat. But actually what you're doing up there, you've now opened my eyes. I think we've been sort of blinkered, and that actually we didn't realise that shearing was so important.
Yeah, they all think it's us trying to make money.
Even
my mate, most of them working class were in the police, just assumed I had sheep for the money from the wool.
Yeah,
and
100%.
This is adults in 20, you know, that just don't know anything about it.
And in fairness, my granddad did. He had commoners' rights, was able to put sheep up on Dartmoor, brought them in. You know, he used to pay his rent, his farm rent, off the back of the wool check. You can't do that anymore.
No, rents are a lot dearer.
Yeah, they are.
Which is a true story as well.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate recently as well that we've, managed to secure a council farm as well, which is going to make a huge difference to us in the sheep show.
So that'll be like a proper a farmhouse and everything you're getting.
Yeah, so everything we've done so far is all rented ground. We've got pockets of land everywhere. We're running 120 acres, and it's pockets of land everywhere. And we have got some really good friends who will lend us sheep. So they'll move them over to us at the start of the season, and we then shear them through the season. But now we're actually got farmhouse. We've been able to secure that through the county council, and that's huge for us. So we're going to be running 220 acres, I think, to start with.
Fantastic.
And just to be able to have everything on site, and we're then going to be able to run a completely closed flock for what we do. We're trying to.
Well, you're going to run a farm business in the back of it then?
Exactly. Instead of having to buy in the ewe lambs to shear, which is what we do now, we'll actually be able to have a flock of mules and produce our own Suffolk mule lambs and be able to do that. So it's great. That's exactly what we've been trying to go for, and Shannon's the future of the business, and it's given her security.
Has she done a show yet?
No.
Can she shear a sheep yet?
She's good. British Wool have actually secured her a course for next year, so she's going to shear a sheep next year. So
good. She might go with Alan Derryman or somebody down there. I don't know. Courses down there. Is it Alan? Is it?
Alan Derryman and Nick Hardy and people like that who you know from all the courses and that, and are going to get her shearing.
He's got patter like you actually.
But
he's got all the chat. I'll try to think of some of the. Oh God, he's got some good ones in the commentary.
But flat out like a badger on a bypass.
That's a good one. I think Hugh Condren takes that one right. I don't know if that shoe's on it. I don't know who gets the credit for that one, but I bet I've watched you got upset for their trademarks. But that's a good flat out like a badger on a bypass. No, listen, fantastic. One thing just to touch on, I suppose, that you're talking about these units, and it just interests me, like taking this business on as you have done. Where does the financing come from to this? Is it off the back of your success with the drama school, or because you're talking about these units like 50,000, you're putting 2 more on? Like, how do you do that?
I sold my house.
Right.
So our family house was sold.
So you thought, I'll take this business on, I'll sell my house to put units on at 50 years old?
Yeah.
Some man, isn't
he? Yeah.
I didn't even know that before I asked that question.
No, you didn't. No, it's not.
No, I wasn't teeing that up at all. I just like to ask about money.
No, literally. I sold the house that we bought, and.
Sorry, see, just to go back. So how did it go? So
your dad's listening to this. There's still time.
What?
I'll just like sell the farm and just start this up.
Support you, Iona.
So then you go.
He's just going to sell another one of they Blackie Tups.
One,
See, I've been watching these. I've been listening to the podcast.
I'm like 50 grand a year. It's just a Blackie Tup.
Yeah.
Sort that Lanark this back in. Sorry, on you go.
No, I was going to say, so you went from starting off in the shows, and now have you worked your way up? Like, what is your position in the sheep school?
In the sheep show. In the sheep school.
Is there a sheep school?
No. Well, no, I am a partner with Jo, my wife. So we
so
own
you
it.
are, right?
Yeah.
Did you have to actually pay for the business or just pay for the machinery and stuff?
No, I paid for the business. So we paid for the business, paid for the assets. Hence, I had to sell we had a very nice 4-bedroom house with an annex, and
That's huge, though. That's massive.
I mean, if you've been staying in the meantime.
And the lorry.
Rented. So we went into rented.
Oh, right. So you just went from owning a big, sell it,
Yeah.
cash out, rent somewhere.
Yeah. We don't get me wrong though, Cammy. We were very lucky. We bought our first house when we first got married in '94. Joe, if I've got that wrong, I'm ever so sorry. I know it was the 2nd of September. Might have been '95 actually. Oh, that's me in so much trouble. And we bought our first house. We paid 35,000 for our first house back then. We bought the house in '94 and then got married in '95.
Okay, did it all the way around.
I knew those dates were there. And then we were able to upgrade, and and because house prices have gone up and up and up, we made the money in the house to be able to do that. So, but I will say, Richard and Helen have been absolutely fantastic to us as well.
Who you bought it off of?
Who we bought it off of, and helped us to take the business on, and we hadn't quite sold the house and everything like that. So they were fantastic to us as well. So, yeah.
And sitting here now, no regrets?
Oh, definitely not.
No?
No. I think the problem is that in agriculture, we are so rubbish at promoting ourselves. We've got the best welfare standards. We've got the best husbandry, the best everything with it. I believe in the world, but we don't tell people. We are absolutely rubbish at standing up and going, do you know what? This is what we've got. This is what we do. Believe in us. And other society or other parts of the society have actually stood up and gone, nah, farmers are rubbish. Farmers are...
They shout loud on us.
And they shout loud at us. Their social media presence has always been better than ours. We've got people now that are standing up and being counted. Yourself being one of them, Tom Pemberton, people like that who are standing up. I've heard of him.
Don't say too much. He listens to this.
Does he listen to it?
He loves our shout out.
I do listen to you. If you'd like to sponsor me, feel free. People like that have stood up and gone, actually, no, this is the end of. And that's what I'm passionate about, is actually standing there in front of the general public, whereas I think a lot of farmers watch your shearing, the sheep game and things like that, and it's interesting to them. Actually, what I'm really passionate about doing is getting out to the general public.
The people that don't know. The
people
farmers
who haven't got a clue.
know.
And actually, I always remember in school, the teachers, like we said earlier, the teachers that made an impression on you, because they made stuff interesting, fun, and made you laugh. And
do you think of a teacher when he says that, by the way?
No,
I do. It's funny you say that. I think of a teacher.
I had 2 teachers, Mr. Gow, and he used to do the shapes when we were in primary school, Mexican, the lexicon, and all that sort of thing. And that's how you learnt it, and it was great. We used to love those times. And then Mr. Radner, really made an impression on me as a kid. And I'm hoping that I can have that same impression on kids that were growing up. I actually think we've lost part of society. The the sort of middle-aged people, some of those I think we've lost. We're never going to convert them.
Okay, yeah. They've
But
made their mind up.
They've already made their mind up. They've already been, and
corrupted.
I'm afraid to say, brainwashed.
Yep.
And actually, what I'm hoping is that I can grab hold of the kids and the ones that we can still influence, and actually say every dietary requirement is acceptable in this world. I don't care whether you're a vegan, a vegetarian, carnivore, whatever, but don't try and influence me to what I want to do. I'm not trying to influence you, but let's all work together. Let's all get to the same end goal.
Because we are all fed by farmers.
We are, yeah.
Exactly. That is a true story.
We are food producers.
Yep.
And I had somebody come up to me the other day and said, actually, should we change farmers to a food producer? Because farmers as a
to
name
them is now like a dirty word.
is a
farming.
dirty word. Yeah. And actually, we're all food producers. No matter if you're a vegan, vegetarian, or a meat eater, you still need a farmer or a food producer to produce that food for you.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what we've got to do. And that's what I'm hoping I can do with the sheep show and take it on. I want it to run for another 30 years and get
So you're
out
going to be
there.
about 81 up there, sharing a big kick.
George Mudge still hand shearing at 80 something.
Well, he's 77. I
77,
asked him. I thought
yeah.
he was hitting 77, and he won the Open Blades today.
100%. There you
won
go.
it.
Incredible.
77. Beat Andrew, who's his
Did he?
son, who's very good, and is 30 years younger than him.
You wouldn't want to be in
Or
that
more,
tent
he'll be
tonight,
more.
would you?
No, so do you know Andrew's good with it? He's like, there's not a better man to lose to. You
no.
know,
Yeah.
How incredible is that? And no, I don't want to be stood on that stage at 77, but you know,
Keep the
like I
business
say,
running.
I'd
Pass it
still
on, of
like to
course.
be seeing Shannon up there, you know, pushing it forward, because we're in for hard times, and we're not, you know, we cannot just sit back and let us be dictated to. We need to stand up and go, hang on a minute, this whole world's been made up of a democracy. Let's let everybody have their say.
Yeah, and it's like you say, that heading for hard times, and I actually feel the same way. I think I don't like it's a bit negative for my usual chat, but I do think we're headed for something that's going to shake things up. Because I keep saying to people, if I do these public talks or whatever things, I'm like, I do feel it's in the next 10 years, maybe 15 at a push, like it's going to flip back round and the farmer's going to be hero again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
The shelves going bare during COVID. They're like, who's helping the farmers? Where's the food? They need to value the farmers.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. We have to look after, you know, the people that are putting the food on our tables. And, you know, we've been through hard times. You know, sheep farmers actually having quite a good time at the moment. We're on the up. Beef farmers on the up. But I think unfortunately there are harder times to come. But we've got to keep this going. And that's another thing, we have to look after each other, because there will be farmers out there that are struggling. Like I was, and if it hadn't have been for my mates, I'd have been in a completely different, and I used to get mates who'd just come around when I was struggling, and they'd go, "You all right? Should we go for a beer? Should we do this?"
Yeah.
Sheep farmers went through a real hard time this winter with Schmallenberg and and the real horrible weather during lambing. Just a simple phone call made a huge difference to some of these farmers.
Absolutely.
And that's why we collect for the Farming Community Network on the show. Get the money out there, because they're there for people.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. No, it's a great message. I think it's a great message to end on there, Trevor, and it's something, like I always say, what folks say about the videos I do, like I actually make my videos for farmers. I don't make, like even this, I make it for farmers. It's fantastic that the public watch it. Now I'm almost opposite of you. You're shooting at the public and the information, but actually my interest has always been to just make videos that are like fun and having a bit of a laugh with it, and they get great response and the public love it too.
They do.
It's for that morale. I'm turning this on myself again, but a lot of folk ask about the name, the sheep game, and what it means. But the sheep game is actually from a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I'm playing on, so it's like and I've used this example, if you bought £1,000 of shares and that company slumped, you go, oh, that's the shares game.
Yeah.
You know, or if your bank crashes, that's the banking game. And it's like you go out and there's a dead sheep, that's the sheep game.
That's a sheep game. Yeah, no, definitely.
And that's how it started.
And I think
it's all negative.
That's countrywide as well.
Keep a laugh
You know,
at
people do say it, don't they?
Yeah,
no, definitely.
That's the farming game. Anyway, fantastic message. What a life lived, Trevor, honestly. And listen, if your enemy's coming to those shows, or please jump on and follow the Facebook, because I'm sure there's big things to come. We're going to see more of Trevor on that Facebook. I'm going to hound him and hassle him to make sure he gets more content about himself and about what they're doing on there. So, Trevor, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Real nice to see you.